This is my White Rotary Treadle, and I'm going to try and use it for free motion embroidery. A couple of things about that. I don't have a feed dog cover for this machine, so I have set the feed dogs to the tightest, shortest stitch length that I can get it. And we'll see if that works. Some people will actually take the feed dogs out on a machine that they're going to use exclusively for embroidery, and they're easy to take out and put back in. And I may do that at some point, but we'll see how it works with these on it. So that's the first setting, and then I have this slider mat down here that theoretically is going to help to make the fabric slide easier. The other thing is I have my top tension is looser than I would normally have it, and my bobbin tension is actually tighter. The white, this is one of the bobbin cases from this type of machine, and there's a little screw in the middle that by turning it you'll tighten up the tension, and so I've got a looser top tension and a little bit tighter on the bottom thread. I have just plain white thread in the bottom, and I've got, what I have on hand is regular 40 weight quilting thread, so that's what I'm going to play with right now, but probably would be better to use machine embroidery thread. And if it turns out that this is something I want to pursue, I'll probably try out some different threads, and of course probably a different needle depending on what thread I end up with. But the thing to note is in this embroidery you don't use a foot, so I've removed the foot. The fabric has to go in a hoop, and I need a smaller hoop. This one's pretty big for what I'm doing, but the thing is, it needs to be really tight. You want it to be sort of tight like a drum, so really tighten it up. And you got to get that hoop under the needle and the presser foot, or where the presser foot was, and the part that scares people is they think, oh, I'm going to sew my finger. Well, you're going to be going pretty slow. Chances are not that great that you're going to sew your finger, so you just need to be careful. This white machine is one that the flywheel rotates away from you, so to start we'll make sure our presser foot is lowered. Even though the foot's not there, lowering that is what puts the tension on the tensioner here. So you need to make sure, even though there's no foot, it still has to be in the down position. Then we turn it to get our bottom thread to come up. If I can, yeah, I missed it. Well, I'm doing something wrong. It's not picking up my thread. There it is. And the stitching is, well, it depends on what you want to do. This can be just like straight stitching, and that's primarily what I'm doing as I'm trying to get used to this. You've got a different speed, and you've got different feeling than you do when you're doing free motion machine quilting. This is it's just different. So I have this variegated thread in here, and because it's green, I thought I'd make some sort of organic, leafy looking things. The reason that the fabric needs to be tight is if it's too loose, it bounces up and down, and your stitches won't catch. You'll just be poking a bunch of holes in it. You won't actually be doing any actual sewing. And I can try to do some back and forth, and you can see with the variegated thread I get a different, I get variety, so it's kind of neat for some things. The people who are really good at this, and what I hope to be able to do someday, is they will use multiple different threads and keep changing colors as they go, and really, it makes some really beautiful thread painting, and they're able to regulate their stitches a lot better than I. But what you see in this hoop right now in front of you is the sum total of every bit of machine embroidery that I've ever done. So I'm here to tell you that while it's perhaps not the easiest thing in the world, if I can do something that looks halfway decent that quickly, I know you can. I think that looks like a pretty decent leaf. Let me see about if I can get this thing zoomed in some so you can see a little better. That's probably pretty good. Anyway, I can see that as I'm doing this, it would probably be an easier process if I was using one of my machines where the feed dogs would have the option of dropping, and I'll probably try that next. I have several machines where that's an option that I can fit into one of my treadle bases, and I think that would make the process a little easier. Not sure I want to take the feed dogs out, but if I decide that I really like this, I might do that. I might have one machine just for embroidery where I just take the feed dogs out and leave them out. Just figuring it's only going to be used for that, why would I need them? So we'll see. And we can make some little tendril thingies. Of course, the more you go over it, the thicker your line's going to be, and with this variegated thread, you really can't control where that bit of color is going to come out, the darker bits. You just have to sort of go with it. It's for what I'm doing here, it's very similar to free motion quilting on just a smaller scale, I guess. You're moving your hands much less because you're covering a smaller area. One of the other things that I probably will need to look into is a better hoop. This is a little wooden thing that I had, and I think a slightly smaller one would work well. The thing is, what your limiting factor on the hoop size is how far you can get between the needle and the column of the machine. So if your hoop is too big, you can't really get to the middle of it because you'll hit the edge of the machine. So smaller is probably better and easier to maneuver. The other thing that I'm finding is because I'm not accustomed to this, I'm having a hard time getting the machine to go as slow as I'd like it to. I think that's going to take some practice. We all seem to want to do everything fast, and slowing down my my treadle speed, I think, makes this go better. Now, if I was going to actually do some real serious embroidery instead of just doodling like I am here, I would probably start by drawing out my pattern, making a real plan of where I'm going, instead of just kind of doing a back and forth doodle and figure it out as I go sort of thing. But I think that the procedure would be the same. If I was using multiple colors of thread, I'd probably go ahead and do a whole bunch of one color first, so I didn't have to keep changing my thread as I went. So if I had several different colors, I'd probably figure out where those were going to go and do all of one section or a lot of one section first and then move on to another and so forth. Anyway, I think you get the idea. It is actually really a lot of fun. And I could probably sit here and do this forever and just get lost in creating. For the moment, I think I'll call it just about done. I've got a quilt that I need to start on. But I am thinking it might be fun to do some embroidered quilt blocks from the next quilt. We'll see. I have a million quilts in progress all the time, so who knows if I'll get to it, but I think it's kind of fun. So if you have a machine that does not have the fancy embroidery components of modern machines, don't think you can't embroider, because it seems to me that works pretty darn good. So this was the section here. This is what I did on the on this white machine. Last night when I first started playing with it and trying to figure it out, I spent a few minutes doing this section, and I did that on a I think it was a 1910 Singer Model 15, same procedure, and they both seem to work pretty good. Last thing I wanted to do is show you the back, because that always seems to, the challenge is getting this thing out of the, but there's the back. With this is the one I did with this machine white bobbin thread, and you can see that the way I have it set, it is pulling some of the top thread through to the back, different than you would for normal stitching, but I think it looks okay. This is one I did in the other machine, and I had a darker thread in the bobbin, and here was some of my first attempts at regulating the stitching, and you can see that it turned into a knotted mess. So it does require some degree of practice and testing to get your top and bottom tension set correctly, so you don't get this knotted mess. But once you've got it set, I think that looks pretty decent, and I think it's a little bit of embroidery that I did there. I think it's kind of pretty. So give it a try. It's not hard. As I get better, I'll show you maybe an improved version. But this is what I'm playing with for now, and it's been fun.